Tinashe is often described as being underrated. But Tinashe fans, I stand before you today to ask you an important question. Is she actually underrated? Is being underrated a bad thing, or are the fans just impatient? First of all, let's define underrated. It means not rated or valued highly enough. When people say Tinashe is underrated, what they really mean is we want our fave to have mainstream success and recognition now. We want her to get her flowers, all 333 of them. Get it? Because that's the name of her most recent album. Okay, all right, you got that. Now the thesis I want to put out for you is this. Tinashe not having higher mainstream success is not a bad thing. There is something to be said for people who climb the ladders of success at a more gradual pace. They had more time to acclimate to their success, time to gain the maturity and wisdom they needed as their star power rose higher and higher. Being mainstream famous may seem fun to regular plebeians like you or I. That is, assuming you're a regular plebeian. Tinashe, are you watching this? Hey girl, love what you've done with the place. Beautiful. You look fabulous. But being mainstream famous can also be incredibly isolating. People start acting different around you. You have to be more discerning of who you keep in your circle. There's a reason why Rihanna's closest friends are the people she grew up with in Barbados. There's a reason why NDA and Beyonce get used in the same sentence often. In the words of one Kiari Cephas, they do anything for clout. Your fans, or people who aren't even your fans, want things from you, your energy, your time, things you may not always be in the mood to give. Let me give some examples of famous people who shot to fame seemingly overnight. Now, side note, to these artists, I'm sure to them, it wasn't overnight because they maybe had years of honing their talents and skills. But to us, they may have come up out of nowhere or didn't necessarily have a sizable discography before becoming household names. Let's start with Billie Eilish. Now, Billie Eilish became a household name at a young age. She wasn't even an adult before the world knew who she was. Now, both Billie and her older brother Phineas, who is her freaking collaborator and also a music artist, have given interviews where they've talked about fame, the effects of fame. One quote I found from Phineas about the dangers of Billie's fame is this: people who don't listen to her music or like her music at all still want a picture with her just to prove they've seen her, like sighting Bigfoot in the woods. And that's dangerous because that's where you're not treated like a person. You're treated like an animal in the zoo or something. I'm not as famous as the most famous people. I'm not as famous as my sister or some of our friends. And I think there's a level of fame that I truly would never want to dip my toes into. Okay, that's tea. Now listen. Billie is 20. Tinashe is 28. Being treated like a zoo animal at any age, not cute. But experiencing that at the age of 20, you have all these people trying to tell you who you are, who you should be, and if you don't have a strong sense of self, you could crumble. Another example, Olivia Rodrigo. Now, Olivia gave an interview in GQ. Basically, the interviewer asked her to recall a moment when Olivia was 14 and she was asked by adults what her brand was or is. And Olivia said the following: "It was not fun. I just remember being 14 years old and being like, I literally have no idea who I am. I don't know what my personal style is. I don't know what I like. I don't know who my true friends are. How am I expected to cultivate an image? That was always hard for me. Even now, I have no idea. I try, but my image today is not going to be the image that I'll probably like tomorrow." Now, this is an extreme example because Olivia was 14 when that happened, but you get the point. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Yeah? Okay, I'll keep going then. Tinashe having the opportunity to build her star slowly means she has time to figure all of this out without such a huge microscope. Admittedly, I don't know Tinashe yet. I don't know how she would have handled it mentally if she was astronomically famous at the age of 20. But let's see what Tinashe had to say about being referred to as underrated. Now, this interview was done with the Grammys. The interviewer was saying that they don't agree with all the people who are constantly tweeting that Tinashe is underrated, and Tinashe had this to say in response: "It's been really crucial in my own understanding of myself to not view myself as underrated, but as someone who absolutely has made an impact and is exactly where I'm meant to be and be comfortable in that. It's important to not get mixed up in the numbers, streams, likes, and the things that can potentially confuse that ideal. I'm owning what I've done and where I've come from. I'm looking at myself more as a legend in the making as opposed to someone who's underrated." A legend in the making. We love to see it. What makes someone a legend is quality, not quantity. Like Tinashe said, it's not about the quantity of the fans. It's not about how many streams you got or how many people think you're the greatest. In my opinion, it's partially about the quality of fans and the quality of the artwork that you're putting out. Now, what do I mean by quality of fans? There are artists out there who put out their work, and this goes for musicians, actors, etc., content creators, and their fans don't necessarily go out and invest a lot of time and money into their faves. And that could be because they didn't connect with the work, the concert tickets were too expensive, we don't know. But you get the point. Artists need their community, they need their fan base. The YouTuber As Told by Kenya made a really great video in 2021 called Stop Trying to Be the Biggest Person on the Internet. Now in this video, Kenya talks about how being the biggest person on the internet is not always better. The priority of content creators should not be achieving high numbers. It should be cultivating that group of people who really mess with you, who are picking up what you're putting down, who are sipping from the Kool-Aid that you're pouring. Tinashe's fans love her. We see the vision. We see it. We see the vision so much that we're annoyed other people aren't seeing the vision. But just because you make numbers doesn't mean your stuff is good or that you even like it. If you love what you do, you're proud of your work, you only have 1,000 people who mess with you and you can make a living off of it, well then X marks the spot. X marks the spot, I know you find it. Turns up, you wanna get behind it. Okay, sorry. I'm here, I'm focused. It's you and me right now. I'm sorry. I don't know what came over me. Okay, Tinashe gave another interview with Complex in 2021, and the interviewer asked her to talk about how she's building her legacy and how she views herself as someone who's building her legacy. Tinashe says, I focus on the legacy aspects of my career and what I want to achieve in the long term. I think of my career as a long game. It's something I want to do for a long time and not just like, okay, how can this song be the biggest song or this album be the biggest album? I think my goalposts are a little bit more generalized and a little bit more long term than they used to be, and that's been helpful. We live in an era of instant gratification. What do we want? Tinashe to be bigger. When do we want it? Now. But having things take time is not always a bad thing, y'all. And having things quickly and achieving things quickly is not always a good thing. And some of y'all watching could probably apply that to your own lives, but you didn't hear that from me. What does it say about society that you can be as big and as talented as Tinashe is, but people will still tell you it's not enough? The narrative of overnight success and instant fame is much louder than the narrative of someone who gradually grew in popularity. It's important for us to reframe what true success is and to realize that there are so many artists and they're all making all this noise on the internet, and the fact that we can hear Tinashe through all the noise seems to be authentically herself, likes the work she makes, and is independent, no label. I'll have you know, is good. It's great, actually. Very legend in the making behavior, if you ask me. Tinashe fans, I stand before you today, and you stand before me. You let me know what you think in the comments below. Give this video a like, subscribe. Check me out on the talk. I'm ticking on the talk. Link in the description. And I got a Twitter. Link in the description. It's in the description. That's great. Yo, everything's there. Links to all these articles I referred to also in the description.